Welcome back to ZBitch4K, and this is Total War Warhammer 3 Elizabeth von Draken gameplay showcase. So, we're gonna watch the video. I'm going to stop at various parts and talk about it. But if you want to see the full video, and not have me talking over it, then go to the original link down below in the description. If I forget to put it there, just leave a comment saying, hey man, you forgot the video. I get it, I'll do it. But before we begin, I'd like to first say thank you for stopping by. No, I mean it. By you stopping by, you help this channel grow. And to help it with more with the YouTube analytics, and the algorithm really does like it when you hit that like button, because it puts this video on the front page. That's the greatest way to help any one of my videos, is by hitting that like button. And any of your favorite YouTubers, hit that like button. It helps them more than you can know. So, without further ado, let's begin. But seriously though, thank you for stopping by. And that's not just me saying that out of like a part of the riff of the opening video. That's me actually genuinely being thankful that you're stopping and watching this video. Without you doing that, my channel wouldn't exist. Most other people's channel wouldn't exist. Let's hit the play button. I'm gonna have it up a little bit.
Elspeth's mysterious, powerful, and a bit creepy.
In this video, we'll be delving into Elspeth von Draken.
Deathly, reclusive, and the wielder of the dragon laser.
To explore who she is, her mechanics,
Deathly, reclusive, and the wielder of the dragon laser.
That's a cool laser right there. I like that. I like that effect. Like, adding cool effects is always a plus, especially in a game like this, because a lot of the best parts of it is in the battle maps. And the battle maps, they can get a bit samey and boring if you don't have cool abilities to show off to the player. I know we all like have it paying back to do strategic stuff, but occasionally you do move in close when you've got things well sewn up. And yeah. Having a beam on there and having her ride on a throne, that's so awesome. That's awesome,
who
bro.
she is, her mechanics, and new units you can expect to see.
Oh, let's look at those mechanics. Let's look at those mechanics, bro.
To explore
Let's
who
look at
she
those
is,
mechanics.
her mechanics.
Okay, and it's this iron sights. Oh, look at that. I got a nice little helmet. Frontline training, melee attack, armor, enables soul blight attacks, reducing damage and armor for amethyst. Okay. So it's sort of like Ikeclaw's workshop.
Mechanics and new units you can expect to see as part
This
of
is
the
sorta
Thrones
like
of Decay DLC.
It remains to see if it is affects Ikeclaw's DLC, because again, we're still at the early goings of I haven't even played it. You haven't even played it.
Her
Only
name echoes
YouTubers who
throughout
are in the
lands
partner
of the
program
Empire.
have played it, and I'm not in the partner program, so I can't really give you a description of how it would work.
Her story shrouded in mystery. Elspeth von
That's a cool
Draken
spell.
is, of course,
I like the
a
scythe,
seemingly
too.
ageless personal protector of the Empire. Not that anyone believes her, of course. Her starting location lies in the heart of Wissenland and Nuln. We're jumping
Wissenland
into turn
is a good
5 of
spot.
our Immortal Empires campaign, where the severed rags of our homelands have been delicately sewn back together to somewhat resemble their former glory. We've no immediate threats around us, so we begin the delightful process of figuring out who to target next. The big patch of undead land in the east probably needs turfing over, so we'll begin an expedition over to Sylvania. It helps that Elspeth receives no attrition from vampiric corruption, of course. And they didn't see that.
That is huge, especially early on.
Land in the east probably needs turfing over, so we'll begin an expedition over to Sylvania. It helps that Elspeth receives no attrition from...
That is huge because attrition really slows you down because you have to go in camp stamps, or you just have to tank the attrition damage and just charge directly into their space. It's slow. It's a real slowdown in dealing with factions that suffer attrition in your territory. Like, it depends if you're going vampires, for instance. You suffer attrition from most other places, so that slows them down almost immediately. But for the invading armor, it's such an awesome for like the vampire counts. It's such an awesome defensive bonus because I think most armor. I think chaos is affected by vampire corruption. I'm not sure. Attrition. I would look that up, but I don't think they are. But you know, that's not the point. That's the point.
Vampiric corruption, of course.
The Empire takes a. One of the main issues they have to deal with is the vampire counts, and by giving you this strong character who can deal with it, means that later on your problems with the vampire counts will be resolved already because, well, you're dealing with them in the early game. You can deal with them in the early game. Easily.
Elspeth provides the fantasy of the kind of morally grey saviour of the Empire. Doesn't always do things the way that people might like, but she does get the job done.
The way Elspeth fits into the Empire roster is that she...
To be fair, literally everything in the Empire and I'd say all of Warhammer is mostly morally grey. I mean, there's a few like, oh, we're genuinely heroic, like Teclis and such, but I'd still say they're kind of morally grey because the High Elves use slaves. You guys know that, right? They use slaves. Well, they use forced labor, as they call it. I've seen that in their victory screen for battles. Like, come on, man. You can't tell me they're not a little bit evil.
He is
just a little bit,
character
just a taste.
The same way that Gelt is, but just has a different lore of magic. She also rides a Carmine Dragon, which is a monstrous mount, and not many spellcasters in the Empire roster actually field them.
A quick look around our
Gelt rides around on like a flying horse on a Pegasus, and it's like, oh, okay, can it eat people? Like, no, it's like a week. So if he ever gets fought in a fight with a flying enemy, I'm not saying he's toast, but yeah, he's probably toast. So you had to keep him out of like combat, aerial combat, and keep him in the air.
We can see a few changes. For example, Helmgar now starts under the control of Karl Franz, giving him a little more breathing room to try out his new elect account updates. And down south, Gelt seems to be missing. He now starts in Grand Cathay, fighting alongside Zhao Ming, with new updates to his campaign also. We've covered these changes in our Thrones of Decay blog posts, which you can find in the links below.
And you can find my opinion on those blog posts, on that blog post, in the description below this video as well, because I have an opinion of those. I also put the blog post in there as well. Again, if I forget, don't be afraid to tell me in the comments. Just say, hey man, you forgot the thing in the links. Like, oh yeah, thanks. Oh, I'll go right to it. You know, I do forget things, though. We all forget things. That's fine.
We've been utilising the Imperial Gunnery in the Imperial Gunnery School window, and by applying our schematics we've collected after battles, we've been able to upgrade our units. There is a nice selection of upgrades across...
So, that's another resource you get after battles. I think that's... I could complain like, wow, you gotta keep getting these resources after battle. Like, yeah, because that's the main thing about Total War, is you're doing battles, you're doing fights to acquire more power for your troops.
Across the munition units, but we're currently focused...
getting resources that way is a great idea. So like XCOM, you want to do missions because missions get you more resources. And why wouldn't it get more resources? The missions are like the main aspect of gameplay. Outside of the world map, or the geoscape, or whatever. Or the strategic layer, or what have you.
Focusing on our artillery, because who doesn't love explosions? So far in Tier 1, we've added in additional projectiles to our Hellstorm rocket battery, and, my personal favourite, improved the reaction time for the Hellblaster volley guns by removing the cannot run attribute increasing their speed and improving acceleration and deceleration through the Wayfarer ability. Not bad for a single upgrade. These are just our early upgrades as well, and as we utilize the gunnery school, we increase our tier, unlocking further, more powerful upgrades and access to new units.
With Elspeth being in charge of
the gunnery
So
school,
here. Missile strength, infantry, reload reduction time. These are nice minor upgrades.
we increase our tier, unlocking further, more powerful upgrades and access to
Okay, let's
my
do
personal favorite. Improve the reaction time for the Hellblaster volley guns by removing the cannot run attribute, increasing their speed, and improving acceleration and deceleration through the Wayfarer ability. Not bad for a single upgrade. These are just our early upgrades as well, and as we utilize the gunnery school, we increase our tier.
Okay, so we bring up the tier. That's good. I actually kind of like that because it makes you want to work for more things, and eventually you'll start to get to like the late grade upgrades. Like, look, 5,000 max kill. Okay, and it's like you gotta do my minor objectives. That's again, that could be a lot of fun.
Further, more powerful upgrades and access to new units.
With Elspeth being in charge of Whistling under Nuln, we knew that we had to have the Imperial Gunnery School in there. The mechanic kind of writes itself, an experimental weapons school and core to the Empire. It adds to the player experience by allowing you to push the limits of what your gun units could normally do. And it gets spicy at the end.
For Sigmar and Verena.
At this stage,
I like that nice little. It gets spicy at the end. Yeah, get to the end of the upgrade tree. Yeah, like I said in my breakdown of blog post, I'm kind of disappointed that we are not doing with more stuff with the melee troops. But honestly, I think Empire's strength is in its arsenal, its long range arsenal. For no other reason that it sort of fits the storyline of them, and it fits the storyline of the dwarves as well. Like, range power is incredibly powerful, especially when it's fighting like giants and other like oversized monsters that they are going to be fighting. It's sort of the perfect counter to them, and it works with the unit roster pretty well already. Like melee infantry, I don't know, because they're so far behind the melee infantry. In the melee infantry setup, that I wouldn't even consider putting that in the, because that would need like a whole big update just to fix it. I wouldn't say fix it, but to help it get to the level of like, say, something even like the Greenskins. The Greenskins, if you put their melee infantry against the Empire melee infantry, the Empire melee infantry would fold pretty quickly. It would fold pretty hard as well. Like, there's not that much they got going for it. Maybe the great swords would stand their ground, but they would probably be done in by the Black Orcs. The Black Orcs would crush them. Like, if you told me that, well, the Greenskins are getting a melee infantry update, I was like, okay, that makes perfect sense. Then you told me the Empire is getting one too. I was like, I don't know about that, because they need a lot. They need a lot of help. But with the artillery, they don't need that much help because they already got a ton of it in the bank already. So, like, they got gunners already, they got pistoliers, they got a lot of siege weapons. A lot of long-range siege weapons.
our army is primarily made up of foot soldiers. Our Nuln Ironsides are the front line of our force. And with more advanced armor, melee capabilities, and missile strength than our standard Empire gunners, we'll bring them right in to weaken the enemy's front line, before bringing back in our swordsmen to take on the bulk of the melee. We're in the midst of taking the walls. We'll position our ranged units on top of them to take advantage of the height. And I think we'll target our artillery on this section, to make things a little less bottlenecky. Vlad has joined the fray, and call me over the top, but while he's caught up, I'm just going to target all my artillery on him. And let's mop up the stragglers using our Hochland long rifles.
The Hochland long rifle is this kind of like fan favorite weapon from the tabletop. They're long range, they're armor piercing, and they can really strike targets from a distance. Both the Ironsides and the Hochland long rifles sit either side of the handgunners in terms of where they sit on the roster. It's really you take what tool you need for the job to get the job done.
It's turn 20.
That's a good unit, far range, armor piercing. That could take out a lot of tough units, especially characters like I said during the blog post. You can wipe out a really powerful, well-armored character with those Hochland rifles.
Armies are bespoke and our power is unquestioned, but our mantelpiece is empty and could do with some trinkets. The Dark Lady of Nuln is a bit of an antiques collector. Magical arcane artifacts entrance her, as she yearns to understand the lore of death in its entirety. In her quest to complete her collection of artifacts, though, she needs a quick way to travel. Its entirety. This is empty and could do with some trinkets. The Dark Lady of Nuln is a bit of an antiques collector. Magical arcane artifacts entrance her, as she yearns to understand the lore of death in its entirety. In her quest to complete her collection of artifacts, though, she needs a quick way to travel. Gardens of Moor can be built in any friendly or neutral Empire-owned settlement, allowing us to create a network of pathways for Elspeth to transverse. We've set up a black tower near our capital of Nuln, so within a couple of turns, we can return to and assist our most important settlements without fear of travelling too far. Gardens can be used to construct unique buildings to provide extra settlement garrisons, unlock units, and boost your abilities in campaign and battle. Be sure to keep in mind the cooldown after constructing each garden. It's important to plan your pathways carefully.
Yeah.
We introduced the Gardens of Moor mechanic to really tap into the lore of Elspeth, of this.
That is a good idea. Because sometimes you'd be overextended, and it's nice to have a way to.
From a gameplay side, it really helped her to zip around the Empire and protect them in dire straits.
Rather than rely on these gardens too much, let's make sure our homeland is well defended by utilising our Master Engineer Lord.
Compelled by good sense.
So hailing from the Engineers Guild, the Engineers are kind of these master craftsmen who specialise in creating all the weird and wonderful weapons that the Empire used to dispatch of their enemies during battles. The difference between the Engineer and the Master Engineer is the Engineer is a hero and wields a repeater rifle, and he can use the ability of Imperial Shot from the Tamarkan book. The Master Engineer wields a grenade-launching blunderbuss, and both units can also call down the fearsome pigeon bombardment.
Cuckoo Boom is the rallying cry of the Engineers, I believe.
That seems like a very useful long-range unit, both the hero and the lord. I'm curious to see how they play.
Alongside them, we have a new legendary hero.
Theodore Bruckner, known as the Titan Headsman, is this kind of champion.
He has a very large model.
Justicar who kind of fights enemy characters. He is also the only character that
I like this fur cape. I just like the look of it. I also like the way he's on a Demogryph Knight.
It's turn 40. Elspeth has vanquished Festus and his Fecundite faction. But our neighbours of Nuln grow irritable of our conquests. The Wargroves of Woe have turned our forests against us. It may be because we discovered the Nemesis Crown and, after taking it for ourselves, gained diplomatic penalties for all factions nationwide.
I came from the Empire. Okay, yeah, it seems like it sort of acts like the Sword of Cain, but at the same time, I feel like it's less powerful, but at the same time, it's less damaging as a Sword of Cain. I never use the Sword of Cain. And I have very little understanding of how the mechanics work for it, but I'm glad I don't really use it because it seems like it helps out a lot, but also damages everything you do. So, but the Nemesis Crown, I think that'll probably be something I might shoot for a couple of times in my campaigns. It depends. It all depends.
Whoops. Elspeth can't help herself. Much to Elspeth's joy, the Nemesis Crown is a free update in patch 5.0. Within our Imperial Government, though, we've reached Tier 3, unlocking the Amethyst power. We can now purchase, recruit, and up...
What was that? Exploding ammunition for gunnery infantry. Okay.
Unlocking the Amethyst power. We can now
purchase, a nice third
recruit, and upgrade Amethyst units, taking advantage of their magically augmented munitions. Amethyst artillery is also available to us now, turning the tide on Dreich's invasion. Better get...
Okay, can restock it. Alright, interesting. Amethyst.
Collecting those schematics.
It will rain death.
The Amethyst Armory bring that combined focus of guns and magic, which you don't normally see within the Empire, and they are very potent, especially with all the combined bonuses you can get for
Dude, magic guns, I approve of that.
this unit.
Magic
and
guns
their
solve
regular
problems.
counterparts. Some of the later additions include dropping a giant purple sun.
That'd be super
The
useful.
Nemesis crown sits heavy upon Elspeth. As we dominate, we make more and more enemies with our neighbours, but the temptation for Elspeth is too much. So while we have the option to drop it off at the nearest thrift store, I think we'll keep it.
I protect the Empire.
We're winning the war. But Drycha has made a bold move for her Swanson, stepping forth into our lands to attack our capital of Nuln. We can't travel to a besieged settlement using the Gardens of Moor, but Grunberg? That ain't too far away.
Betwixt the veil.
That's a nice
Right,
little.
I can't handle an
twist to
army
it.
of
Like,
50
if
units,
it's
so Elspeth's
besieged,
backup is going to come.
if it's besieged, you can't travel to it, but you can travel to a neighbor. So you can set up. You be behooved to set up a vast network of it in case one gets besieged. You can have a backup, or if it's otherwise occupied, you can travel to something else.
Come in as and when she's needed.
So you want to put up as many as you can. Well, at least 2 in a general area.
Our garrison can hold off the first wave of Wood Elves, but looks like Drycha's on her way with her main army.
There's Sigmar right there, the statue of Sigmar.
Elspeth arrives atop her Carmine Dragon. Let's boost that morale.
Don't take thee!
As we lose units of our garrison, it frees up space for more of Elspeth's more qualified soldiers to arrive as backup. Oh, wait, those are my cannons. Oh well. My Knights of the Black Rose will avenge them.
The Knights of the Black Rose are this sword and board cavalry that really excel in sustained engagements.
Oh dear, they're really making their way.
Oh. That's the Black Rose. Repeat that. I couldn't. I missed that
Rose
part.
will avenge them.
The Knights of the Black Rose are this sword and board cavalry that really excel in sustained engagements.
Okay. So they're more a lot
Really
like
making
a
their way in.
charge and
Plus,
forget.
they found some of my undefended gates. Time to call in the artillery.
The steam
Yeah.
tank, now mounted with a volley gun in the hull, is this twist on a really beloved existing unit.
For call, Franz. He's our long bearded bro.
Ah, here comes our navy. Hang on, there's no sea here. And we don't have a navy.
And finally, we have the Marienburg class landship, which is this ridiculous boat on wheels with an extreme amount of firepower.
I mean, you remember this? It's a good one.
Theodore, mate, I know you're on your last legs, but I need you back in the fight. Okay, he's going down. But his Bale Flame amulet has other ideas.
That's such a good ability. His last bit of fight, just the last bit of fight left in him, he blows it up. That's beautiful. So thematical to the character too. I'm guessing, I don't know.
Come on, man. Final push. In we go. Nope. Oh, okay then. Elspeth, it's up to you.
See how that would be annoying though, exploding character. Because you were beating it and it's like, oh, of course you're doing a little bit more damage to it. That would be annoying.
The Empire flourishes. We've confederated some of our allies into our faction, increasing our new Imperial authority, and we've created a vast network of gardeners across the rest. Completing Tier 5 of the Gunnerow School means we've unlocked the Amethyst Landship and the Purple Eclipse. Both will be powerful additions to our armies, once we find a new target to use them on. On the horizon, we see a new threat in the form of Tamakan, and perhaps yet, we'll find an ally in the dwarves. Should probably drop off the crown if we want to make friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments on the new additions, and don't forget to follow our links to find out more, including the extra campaign reworks we've added for Empire, Nurgle, and Dwarves as part of patch 5.0. Check out our Steam page to wishlist it now.
Overall, I think I think this is a good update. Well, I have to get my hands on it, but I think the dragon mount really makes her especially tanky in, I say, later game part of the game or mid time. Like before that, like most wizard units suffer from being poor tanks, and well, they shouldn't be tanks. First of all, you should have them back. But when problems, like, that's a perfect world, and you don't often get put in perfect situations. So it's nice to have a backup of a dragon. Most of the units seem pretty solid. I like them. They seemed good enhancement for the overall artillery of the Empire. Yeah, it's a solid addition so far. I can't wait to get my hands on it. I have to keep in mind about the pricing though, because I'm always a little bit nervous about Total War and pricing. I have to go check that after this. But I think it probably priced decently this time. Hopefully. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.